Hey, what's up everyone? So, kind of different outfit here compared to my outfits a year ago when I was topless, right? So it's pretty cold here, or at least I'm cold. And just working with a couple of people, and there's this subject that I feel applies to all of us, all human beings, all of us on this earth. This applies to all of us, whether we're going through a breakup or just everyday life, or having issues with our relationships or with ourselves, our goals. Depression. I don't understand. Well, no, I do understand. But what I don't understand is how we got to this point where we view depression as such a bad thing. Actually, I do understand how we got to this point, and I'll talk about that too, because it could be extremely helpful for us all to understand this. But let me start by saying that depression is not a bad thing. Depression is a great thing. It's a great thing. What's bad about depression is our attitude towards it, the way we resist it, the way we deny it, the way we try to run away from it, the way we bury it, try to bury it. And by doing all of those things, we prolong our depression, we make it longer than it needs to be, and we suffer more than we need to. And probably one of the worst things that can happen is, it's not that bad, but it's one of the worst things that can happen is, you make a habit of being depressed. Because remember, all the videos I, make and talk about is about, addiction and how addictions are formed by repetitive behavior. So if you're depressed, constantly, well, then your whole body becomes conditioned and learns, and your mind learns, and just you create a habit of being depressed, which is, again, like I said, it's not such a bad thing, because up until we're in our 70s and 80s, and until we die, science has now proved that there is this thing called brain elasticity that goes on deep into our old age. And brain elasticity means that we can create new habits, we can change, we can evolve. Even in old age, our minds are elastic and capable of adapting to change. So even if you've been depressed like I was for many, many, many years, you can recondition, which basically means creating a new habit, new way of life, through exercising and practicing and doing whatever it is you want to shape yourself into. So if it's want to be happy, if you want to be confident, if you want to be whatever, by doing those things more and more and more and more, they become new habits. And yeah, of course it takes work. Does riding a bike happen instantly when you don't know how to? Does getting in shape after eating pizzas for 30 years, does that happen overnight? No, it's going to take some work. But as I say in my videos, I consider myself quite a lazy person. I'm not good at working hard. But what I am good at doing is sticking to my goals. And what I'll do is I'll do little work every day. So rather than doing 50 push-ups or 100 push-ups right now, I'll do 5 push-ups a day. And then over time, that becomes so easy that I'll do 10 push-ups a day. Rather than burning myself out, yeah, maybe I can do 100 now. But in one of my videos, I talk about how we can sometimes jump to hit a target, but you only hit it because you jumped. But then what happens is you're going to fall down. It's better to slowly build steps to that target And then when you get there, you stay there rather than, right, I'm going to turn my life around and I'm going to everything's going to change, New Year's resolution. And then boom, you dive in and you try to jump for your goals, or you do like a week of crazy being in the gym, or a week of not eating any meat, or a week of not eating any sugar, or whatever changes you want to make. Humans, we want things so quickly, so we think that by going extreme it's helpful. But no, what happens? What happens when we cut out the sugar or bad foods or whatever for a week? Or what happens when we all of a sudden decide, right, I'm going to change my life and I'm going to train hard for a week? What happens is usually the following week we're like, screw this. This isn't for me. I'm never going to change. Right? Because we're just not approaching it in the correct way. So, let me tell you why depression is such an essential thing and something that we have to be grateful for, and rather than avoiding it, denying it, being ashamed of it, not talking about it, unfortunately that's our society. It makes it difficult to openly talk about these things. But our society, our world is changing. We're becoming more open. People are becoming more and more comfortable. And we're starting to connect the dots together, and we're starting to notice that the people who are most successful, whether they're champion athletes or famous actors or politicians, well, forget about politicians, but yeah, some politicians, whoever it is that's getting up in power, are usually doing it by being themselves. Why are they being successful by being themselves? Because that's what all of us want. That's what all of us want in ourselves. So when we see other people making mistakes, being themselves, admitting that they have depression or admitting that they have weaknesses, we love that. We're attracted to that. Why? Because it's within all of us, and it gives us more confidence and permission and comfort to also express ourselves. So when we start to notice that the people who are finding the most success and happiness in life are the ones who are being more open about their imperfections, being more brave about their imperfections. One thing that I have always noticed since I was really young, and I have people in my family who are gay, and have had friends who are gay, homosexual, and one thing I have always noticed, that a lot of gay people are extremely enlightened in many ways. They're so open and free. Why? Because they've managed to share and overcome something that society has cast so much judgment on. They've managed to overcome that and say, fuck you, I don't care what you think. It's all about my self-love and my life journey, and this is who I am, and I accept and I love myself. And when you accept and you love all the things that you view as imperfections, which are sadly, most of them are taught to us from society to view as imperfections, like depression, like being gay, like, whatever, all those things that are taught to us from birth, through movies, through the media, through magazines, through our friends, through even our parents, telling us this is right and wrong, all of those things, they imprison us, okay? But when you practice self-love, self-focus is all about basically not caring as much about what other people think. I'm not saying you have to give 0, 0, 0 fucks about what other people think. I'm not saying that you have to completely care less about your environment and the people within it. No, balance. Remember, balance is the most important thing of all that we have to always keep in mind. Balance is important. But So is self-love. Self-love is great. And then you're going to see some people who are imbalanced in their self-love. They are too extreme in their self-love, and that can also cause problems. You know, when you don't care about the people around you, when you don't care about your environment, and it's all about your needs, and too much, that can be too extreme as well, and that can have with it, you know, toxicity and, you know, a lot of problems. But pain is what you'll wind up feeling when you go down to the extreme route. And, you know, this goes back to depression, pain. You know, I talk a lot about this. You know, pain is our greatest teacher. Pain is what helps guide us back into the other direction. You know, if you touch fire, your hand's going this way, but you touch the flame, and then, wow, your hand moves back this way. And then you're not supposed to stay here forever and be terrified. No, you're supposed to come back up and go closer to the fire, and then get closer and closer, and then find where it's warm, and then, this is a good amount of distance, you know? My hand shouldn't be in the fire, but I don't want to be all the way here. It's too cold. I'm going to freeze, and I'm going to wind up wearing silly hats and stuff. So you want to find that balance. And depression is, let me explain what it is. As far as this body and this mind has experienced in this existence, in this 36 years of life. Depression is an incredible gift, a natural instinct, a natural biological mechanism that we all have within us that shuts down everything. And what is depression essentially doing? It's forcing us to do no contact. It's forcing us to do self-love. It's forcing us to do me time. Okay? Why do we get to the point of depression? It's usually, as I say, my belief is that it's not an absence of energy. It's the opposite. It's when you have so much within you, whether it's so much thought, so much that you need to express, but it's not being expressed. So much power and energy and so much that's going on within you, but it's not being released, not being expressed, not being processed. That's the key word, processed. It's not being digested and processed, and so you shut down. Boom. It becomes like a black hole. You know, if you look at black holes in space, in the universe, a black hole is formed from a sun that's collapsed, a star that's dying, that's imploding on itself, and all this energy and all this mass gets compressed into a tiny amount of space, and the amount of density, the amount of power that's just not being released, exploding, instead creates like a distortion in space and in time, and it drops and bends space and time and creates a black hole. And, you know, scientists are still studying black holes and trying to figure them out, but what we know is that when a black hole is created, it starts to suck everything into the universe. Suck everything from the universe into it. And when things go into it, it seems like it processes. Anyway, black holes are very similar to depression, but not completely identical. Depression is more like your computer restarting or shutting down. Depression is like in boxing or in fighting, if you get hit in the head and you don't see the punch coming and you get knocked out or knocked down. Depression is similar to that. It's your body has just been punched, and then your brain starts to like spin, and it's just too much, and your body does what is best for it at the time, and it just shuts down, and you completely shut down, and your body goes into a state of rest, ultimate rest, because that's what it needs. It needs rest. So depression is your body's way of saying, all right, motherfucker, you clearly haven't been paying attention to all the signs that I've been giving you, so I'm going to take charge now, and this is what's going to happen. Boom, shut down, depressed. You don't want to see people, you don't want to go out, you don't want to do much, you don't want to do anything, and then society tells you that there's something wrong with you for that. It's so messed up. Meanwhile, all of society is going through the same thing. Everyone is going through the depression. Depression isn't like something, it's not like a disease. Like, yes, I know, that's how we've classified it now. And, and I don't want to, at the end of the day, treating it as a disease helps a lot of people. So, you've got to know yourself, and if treating it as a disease helps, that's fantastic, and continue to do that. I'm just sharing with you my own, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical professional, I'm not a licensed therapist or anything. I'm just this is just a mouth that's speaking, and my channel is called Mouth of the Ape for a reason. Okay, this is just everything I have learned in my life. And it's just how I see things, okay? But I am convinced of all these things, and these are my beliefs, that depression is a natural, wonderful thing when we accept it, when we treat it with love, when we welcome it, when we understand what it is. The way you understand what it is just look at what it's doing. It's shutting you down. It's isolating you. It's giving you time and space and distance away from everyone and everything. Why? To limit and reduce what's going into your eyes, your mouth, your touch, your ears, your brain. It's trying to reduce all the stimulations and sensory data and information that we absorb every day in life. It's trying to reduce all of that. Why? So that you can process what's already inside you. Depression is like when you've just eaten a huge steak and it tastes delicious and you've just eaten it and it feels fine, but as soon as it gets here, you're like, oh. You don't want anyone to talk to you. You just want to be left alone. You need to digest this. It's like this huge thing and it needs to be digested. And in depression, the equivalent of the steak could be all the things that are bothering you in life. It could be people that are bothering you. It could be your lifestyle. It could be yourself, your own self-talk, your own thoughts. At the end of the day, that's what it all comes down to, is your thoughts. Because someone could be bothering you, but you might have enough wisdom and awareness and be enlightened enough to know that it doesn't matter what he or she thinks or what he or she does. All that matters is how I process and digest what I'm hearing. And sure, remember that, over 10, 20, 30 years, we can create instinctual responses that are less in our control of how we respond to people who annoy us or irritate us. What I mean by that, I know that sounded complicated, but all that means is that sometimes, like I'll hear a lot of spiritual people who will say, oh, just don't be affected, think of yourself, focus. Okay, and then everyone's like, yeah, that makes sense, I'll do it. But why is it so hard to do that? Why? Because for years and years and years, your natural response to someone irritating and annoying or upsetting you, your natural response was to be like, to argue, to engage, to get involved, right? So you've created a habit over years of engaging, of getting involved, and then you get hurt, right? So how do you recondition, how do you change your behavior towards those things is by practicing it. So someone is doing, annoying you or irritating you, or life is irritating you, or your own mind is irritating you by the things you're telling yourself. I am weak, I suck, I'll never be worth anything, my life is terrible, I'll never meet the love of my life, I'll never be happy, I'll never be healthy, I'll never be normal, whatever self-talk that's happening that sadly most people are not even aware of that's going on in your head. Whatever all those things are, the people, the foods that you're eating that are not good for you, the silly hats that you're wearing, whatever, your life is all about everything that's in it, you know? Practicing how to engage with those things in a healthier way. So if I'm having the negative thoughts, I counter those thoughts. And then I create a habit out of, well, if I'm sitting at my desk and I'm like, I'm never going to be happy, or I'm never going to be healthy again. Well, rather than just allowing that thought to come in and just dig a little hole into my self-esteem and self-love and self-confidence, I'll fill that hole up with 3 shovels of wonderful fertile soil by counterbalancing it with each day my body heals and grows stronger. That's one. My ability to grow healthier and stronger is all within myself. All that I need to be happy and healthy is within myself and not from without. So you learn to engage in toxic, harmful, painful things in the correct way. And that's all we need, isn't it? That's all we need to know. It's just how to deal with these things. Because most people out there, especially anyone out there watching this video, has come here because you want to be happier, you want to be stronger, you want to be more confident. We all want these things. So the problem isn't our desire. Our desire is there. Our will is there. Our wisdom is clear enough to know that there's something wrong and that we need to improve. But it's just the way, it's just the education, or sadly the lack of education of all of these things. It's the understanding how your mind works. This isn't about spirituality. This isn't about, philosophy. This is just biology. This is how our mind works, okay? You touch fire enough times, you're going to learn. The fear is there for you to learn to pull your hand back, okay? And then many of us would just stay back here, all right? We're not taught, no, go back, go back. Yes, some people are taught. This is why fighting is important, and underrated. Sports things like wrestling, things like, any sort of martial arts. It doesn't have to be fighting. It can be climbing a mountain. It can be anything where you are taught from an early age, or, midlife, or later in life, taught how to just keep moving forward and not to allow, the negative, toxic things to, just learn how to engage with them, okay? At the end of the day, these things are making us stronger. So you should welcome them. As I said in one of my videos once that, if you're familiar with Pac-Man, suffering and toxicity and these difficult things that, people sometimes sting us. They'll sting us with their own toxicity, with their own issues. They'll sting us, but those stings make us stronger. They're like Pac-Man. In Pac-Man, you're eating these little balls, right? But then every now and then you find a big ball, and the big ball, when you eat it, is like a big problem that you just had in your life. A bad relationship, someone toxic who you're trying to, move away from, or break up with, or forget, or, heal from. When you eat one of those big bowls in Pac-Man, it's like you've just had a breakup. That's what it's like. You've just been given a huge gift in life. Yes, it's going to be hard, But the pain that you're feeling, the emptiness that you're feeling, the suffering that you're going through, which let's say is over here, when you heal, you're going to be the equivalent in strength and wisdom and being attractive, but on this side. Okay, so you're going to have the equivalent amount of suffering and all of that, but the opposite. That's what happens. That's what happens if I'm doing push-ups. When you're doing push-ups, you're going through this pain. It hurts. Nobody likes to do push-ups. Check out my cool shoes. All right. Nobody likes to do push-ups. It hurts. It's painful. But after you stop the push-ups and then you allow yourself to heal, then when it heals, you are stronger than before. So whatever suffering, whatever problem, whatever issue you're going through right now, just know that you're going to be so strong when you heal from this. And the important thing is, don't make it worse. Don't make what you're going through worse. So if I'm doing push-ups, I'm going to need a break. I'm going to need to break away from the push-ups so that my body can heal. But if I keep doing the push-ups, I'm going to hurt myself. There is a difference between a racehorse and a workhorse. One of my friends brought this to my, brought this into my thought, and I never forget it. I used to work with, with him, and we used to have, he ran a company of window cleaning, and it was actually one of the most fun jobs I have ever done. Because you're out, you get to see people's houses, which is interesting, and see, we did a lot of cool houses and cool places. But I remember once we were doing the windows, and we were sort of side by side, and we were talking, and then I remember saying to him that, this is good for you, because you're upright, your posture is upright, and, you're doing, you're standing, you're not sitting at a desk and all this. And I've done the desk job. I've done the, it's not 9 to 5. I was doing 7 to 10. I've had my own corner office. I've experienced all of that as well. The days of endless meetings and politics and people trying to, climb over you for the better job and all of this, And I loved the window cleaning. For me it was simple, and I was outside and I was out in the world and seeing, like I said, people's homes, and it had a lot of cool things. But everything has its ups and downs. And my friend's wisdom, or what he mentioned was I said, this is healthy for us, and then he said, well, no, this is like a workhorse, slowly grinding down your body. And he was right, because there's a difference between a racehorse and a workhorse. Even just like constantly doing this, or using your finger, constantly doing this, will wear down, because this is what a workhorse does, Or, holding your phone. I tell people, try using your other hand every now and then. Use your left hand for the mouse. Once, at least one day of the week or 2 days in the week, and let your other hand relax and recharge. Because, and you do it with everything. The steering wheel, keep an eye, use your other hand sometimes. Please don't crash, but, do it safely. But, there's a difference between a racehorse and a workhorse. And when you're constantly doing the same thing, like push-ups over and over and over and over and over again, you're going to start grinding and wearing things down. That's what a workhorse does. And that's why workhorses get old and worn down and worn out. And if any of you out there do martial arts or training, this is good knowledge as well for everyone out there involved with sports or trying to make their bodies healthier, is what's the difference between a racehorse and a workhorse? Is a racehorse rests. A racehorse has a very intense training regiment as well. It works as hard as the workhorse, even harder. It will train much harder than the workhorse. It will train really, hard. But the difference between the racehorse or an athlete, champion athlete, and someone who's doing repetitive work all day long is the rest. Racehorses, champion athletes, or just everyday humans like us, we need rest to stay healthy. So we work, and then we rest. It's the same with your relationships. You need breaks. You need rest from each other to keep that relationship healthy. Otherwise, you break the relationship down like a workhorse. Okay, so having a lot of time together and being happy and excited and having lunch and dinner and having conversations till 4 in the morning is great. As you know, I was having, one of my new clients who I've been working with, that sort of came up in conversation. That's great, but you can't do that every day for the rest of your life, okay? You'll need breaks apart. And that's why I always say, in my videos about relationships that have a break, have one day apart, have one day apart from each other, have 1 week apart from each other in a year at least. You go do your thing, I'm going to go do my thing. There has to be trust, there has to be that enough self-love for you to be able to do that, okay? Otherwise, you're going to grind the relationship down by being together too much, doing the relationship too much, okay? So that's being extreme. Rather than diversifying your life, which I talked about in my last video, you're being too extreme. So let's get back to the depression. So depression is your body's way of saying you need to rest, shut down, process everything that you need to digest. Okay, you're thinking a lot. You've been receiving a lot of data and a lot of information. Now digest it. So when we're depressed, we just want to shut down and we want to just process everything in our mind, go through all the scenarios, think and think and think. And thinking is not a bad thing. I am not against thinking. Remember, love. Love means loving everything about yourself. So if you're thinking and if you're overthinking, love it, accept it, allow it, realize that it's happening for a reason. Okay? It's there to process things. But yes, overthinking or thinking too much can be harmful if you don't know how to think, how to use this. Okay? And how to think and how to use this is to process, is to digest, to see the best in everything, to see the strengths and the opportunities in the difficult thoughts, in the painful thoughts. If I think, oh, I'm never going to be a champion at jiu-jitsu, or I'm never going to reach my goals of how strong I want to be, or I'm never going to be as confident as I wish I could be, or be able to, dissolve all my anxiety. When those toxic thoughts come, that's where you have to know how to engage with them and counter them. Like a lawyer would do and say, objection, Your Honor. You are naturally free of anxiety. It's just your thoughts that are creating it. So getting out of your own way, training your focus onto yourself more, onto what's here, what you have, rather than what you lack. That's how you build your confidence and your self-esteem. Okay? And by doing that more and more and more and training it more and more and consistently over time, you'll create a habit out of being confident. Okay? And there's loads of techniques of how to do it, from journaling to affirmations to filling your week and planning your week full of goals and activities. One of my clients, he's facing a very difficult challenge right now, but he's doing so great, one step at a time, one day at a time. He's now started doing classes where he's learning something new, and he's already seeing the benefits of that. So we have to throw ourselves into these things and fill our week with healthy distractions. Okay? Fill our life with loads of goals and objectives and plans, long-term goals for like 10 years away, short-term goals for this week, for this weekend. So the main problem that I see with all of us, or just, that I have had in my life, or the people I work with, or the people I'm coaching and training and helping and, sharing with, is just, first of all, understanding how to engage with difficulty, and secondly, training your awareness, your self-awareness. And it becomes stronger and stronger and stronger the more you can catch those toxic thoughts, rather than letting the thoughts just take you for a ride, where you just snap out of 5 minutes of just negative thinking. You're like, damn, I just spent 10 minutes thinking of negative shit about how my life sucks or how I'm never going to get anywhere, right? The quicker you can snap out of that, you'll get to a point where you'll be able to catch the thought when it comes in. There's that negative, toxic thought. And don't hate it. Don't be against it. Love it and welcome it, and understand that it's just a part of your fear that is there to protect your hand from being burned. And when you treat it with love, treat yourself with love, even your negative thinking, especially your imperfections and your lack of confidence, especially your anxiety, your depression, love all those things. When you're able to do all that, then those things dissolve and they don't last, they don't linger. But if I don't want to be depressed, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm getting depressed, I gotta stop, I gotta take some pills, or I gotta drink, or I gotta smoke weed, which I don't think's such a bad thing, but everything in balance, or whatever it is that you're going to do to try to bury it, run away from it, distract yourself from it, rather than allow it to do what it's there to do, which is to process and digest that huge big steak that you just ate. So allow it. Give yourself the time. It's okay. We're not supposed to be waking up in the morning and worrying and working and then worrying about money and our future and our relationships all day long, and then getting home and then boom, there's a swarm of, the wife or, the husband or the girlfriend or the boyfriend complaining and saying, I'm not getting enough attention or blah, blah. And then you've got financial worries and, this and this. And then you sleep. Yes, sleep is one of our saviors, and it's one of our natural, it's similar to depression or shutting down and re-energizing. We have that every day. But depression is just a wake-up call. It's okay. It's a wonderful thing. Embrace it, enjoy it, get the most out of it, allow it, but don't make it a habit. Be aware. When you have enough energy, just do 2 push-ups. I don't mean that literally, but I mean get out there. Don't spend too much time at home. Go and throw yourself into some activities. Is it going to be fun and comfortable and awesome at first? No, it's not, but just do it. Your mind will lead the way, your emotions and your body will follow and adapt. And when they adapt and when habits start to be formed, you're going to feel so glad that you put in the work. It's like me doing my punch. If I don't train it enough, I'm never going to learn how to do it properly. So depression is a wonderful thing. Love it, accept it, talk to your depression, say, oh, hey, there you are, I love you, I know you're here for me, I know you're here to make me stronger, I know that you will only make me stronger. Embrace it, don't be afraid to be depressed, don't be afraid of sadness, think about it. You can take it, it's not that bad, it's not that bad. Yeah, I know, it's, I've been there before, it's horrible, it sucks, lingering in there sucks, but not if you have the right mindset and you engage with it properly, okay? It only sucks if you isolate yourself and you think there's something wrong with you, or that everyone else is perfect and happy and you're the one that has issues. No, everyone's going through this, everyone. I haven't met one person who isn't going through some sort of life difficulty. Everyone is. Okay? All right, so I'm going to wrap this up, and I hope this helps in some way, and, I hope you're all learning a little by little more and understanding and connecting the dots more about self-love and why self-love is so powerful. It's self-focus, and what self-love truly means is loving all of yourself, your imperfections and your perfections. When I was going through a difficult time, there was one thing that helped me tremendously, which was just to write down, or to say in my head, I love all of me, my imperfections and my perfections, And that's the biggest issue I see out there with people, especially sadly, people who think they're spiritual and, they're all into this new age and love and love and love and all this nonsense, they don't realize what true love it really is, and true love is to love everything that's not perfect, love, the depression, love your anger, accept your anger, allow your anger, being enlightened and loving and, awakened doesn't mean being in bliss and happiness all day long. No. Just yesterday I was waiting for my washing machine, my dryer to come. And by the way, it's funny how the older you get excited about things like a dryer. Man, I was so excited. My dryer arrived, and it was the same as when I was 13 and I got my, my Master System, Sega Master System or Mega Drive, my computer console. I was looking at this dryer and I'm like, I gotta try this out. I gotta put some things in there and dry it. Oh man, it was exciting. But anyway, they said they were delivered between 12 and 4, and then at 4 I get a call saying they're gonna be, all right. And I got angry, and I expressed my anger to the guy. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Anger is a natural part of our life. What would be worse is if I held my anger, and had spite, and then I'm just hurting myself and creating toxicity. But releasing your anger, there's nothing wrong with it. Anger is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Okay? Again, our society makes it a bad thing, and I can understand why, we see it that way. But anger in extreme amounts is toxic and bad. Yes, not good for ourselves or our world or our family, our community. But a little bit of anger, it's okay, and we should all feel comfortable enough to express anger, and sadness and depression, as well as happiness. These are all. One is not more important than the other. All right, I'm going to wrap this up. Sending everybody out there all the best. I hope this helps connect some dots for you all. Remember, knowing all of this is great, and it's step one, but creating the habits, creating the, training yourself every day is as important, if not more important. I would rather people out there know less, but are training what they know more, than for people out there to know so much about all of this, but doing nothing every day. Okay? Knowing all of this is almost pointless if you're not actually doing it. It reminds me, and the final thought here, of one of our Muay Thai coaches who once said, and he was training a fighter at the time who was, this fighter was all about kicks, high kicks, left kick, low kick the legs, kick the head. And he used to have beautiful fake kicks where he'd throw a kick and you'd think that it's going to hit you here, but at the last second his kick would flip up and hit you in the head. And he used to catch people with that. He used to hurt people with that because people would be like here, and then the kick would be coming, and then they would drop their hands, and then at the last second he'd flip the kick and boom, it hit your head. This guy was all about the kicks. But his career didn't start taking off until this coach said or taught him that it's not about throwing 1,000 different kicks once. It's about throwing one kick 1,000 times. What that means is train yourself to throw one kick and master throwing that kick. Right? And it's the same concept of what I'm saying. It's better that you know less, but you're training all of it constantly than to know a million different things about spirituality and health, and you know more than this person, and you know everything, you've read all these books, but you're not doing anything. Or you're doing less about it than the person who knows just this much but is doing, training himself hard. And this fighter was convinced by this coach, and the coach trained him to do the one kick over and over and over and again. And you can look him up. He won the Strikeforce Championship belt and became the world Strikeforce champion. And if you look at the fight, his fight was basically against another guy who was in his prime, and he basically destroyed his leg. And he beat the guy by chopping his leg with one kick for the whole fight. All right, everybody. I hope this helps in some way. And yeah, if you guys have any questions or comments, you know what to do. Yeah, stay warm. Talk soon.